But yeah, we're live now.
All right,
What happened to
live.
your What happened to your camera? Oh, there it goes. How was everybody's day so far? Oh, week.
Mine was great.
Oh, it's
That didn't sound
fantastic.
so great, Charles. The way you said it, it built up. It was like mine was great.
Nah. It was actually pretty good. Anytime I'm out with clients, it's always good.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, it's actually been a little bit over a week, right, for us because we didn't come on last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's probably why it
Hmm.
seems so long.
I know it's been a while. You, Lisa, you were out of town.
Yes, I was. I went to a really
Where's you
nice
at
wedding
again?
we went to San Diego, and I got to
Okay.
celebrate my 22-year anniversary.
Oh, nice, very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Irv, Irv Green's like, "Hi guys, welcome to my live." Just kidding. Irv Green, this is your live too. Like you're a part of all the content too. Like all your comments, your engagement, it makes this content come alive. So it's just as
Absolutely.
it is your live than it is our live. So, but man, this whole week for me has been crazy because Lisa, I kind of told you about this. Um, a lender that one of my client chose to go with. Um, they kind of came into some difficulties with the condo getting accepted and funded.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Remember that one, Lisa? So
Yeah.
so like I guess, before we went to contract, I kind of spoke to this lender and I said, "Hey, um this community, let's say this HOA community has had difficulties getting finance in the
Yeah.
past. So can you first verify that you guys will be able to finance it for the clients before we even go into contract?" And they waste money and resources and time into hiring a home inspector to come out there. Charles, you went out there and paying for appraisals. And
Hmm.
he was like, "No, we're good. So he gave us the assurance. We went in, and then like a couple of days ago, I reached out to Lisa. I was like, "Oh man, Lisa, can you verify something for me?" So I guess what ended up happening with this was the I guess each condo for the HOAs, they have certain reserves, right? They have certain reserves to where they handle insurance claims, they handle client claims, the people that's living within that complex, whenever there's claims or anything like that, or anything like that. And the banks normally like to see like a certain amount, right, Lisa? Can you tell me more about that? Like they like to see a little bit certain amount of reserves, right, for a HOA community before they take the risk of investing in one of those units. Is that what it is?
Sure, I'd have to read it to really understand here because that's more of an FHA thing than it is a conventional thing. Usually it's
See, and
there's
that's crazy. You said that because I would assume it was that too, but the client's not using FHA, they're using conventional.
right. I remember you telling me that. So without knowing all that paperwork, because you have to understand too, to order all of those HOA certs, it can cost like $1,000. So lenders are
It
not going to
can.
order that, right? Lenders are not going to order that. The buyer has to order that. And realistically, if you are selling a condo as a listing agent, you should get your sellers to get that first. Get that out of the way so that it doesn't cause these types of issues. So
Right.
if it's a specific HOA that specifically says that, okay, even conventional, that might be the case, Gia. That absolutely might be the case, but it is
Yeah,
not.
unfortunately, in this scenario, the seller is somebody I don't want to mention because it's actually
Yeah.
not like a seller. It's like a corporate hedge hedge fund, basically big seller that buys a bunch of
It's an
homes and
open
flips
door.
them.
It's an
No
open door.
comment. No comment.
Open
Anyways,
door
the
for
next
my 100,
topic.
Lucia.
I'm not gonna comment on that. But anyways, happy Thursday, everybody. Happy
Okay.
Thursday. Um, so yeah, that was
Oh,
my week. So I'm trying
all
to
right.
kill fires. That is my week so
Oh
far.
man.
Um,
Oh
yeah.
man.
So
Okay,
hopefully
that can
everything goes
absolutely
good.
happen.
Yeah, so hopefully everything goes good. The week ends tomorrow, so we'll see how everything goes. But yeah, today, we're gonna be talking about some nice stuff. We're talking about the ABCs of the industry. If you guys saw from the title already, down payment assistance. We're gonna talk about dry events, all of that as well. Charles is gonna share some pictures, some pretty pictures with you guys, which you guys should already know by now. Every time whenever Charles shows pictures, it's not pretty at all. That's why he shows it. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about those topics today. And you guys are probably wondering what do you mean by ABCs of the industry? Chia? Well, I'll let Lisa share more about that when we get to that topic. But first, of course, I want to do a market update just to see how the week's been these past few weeks. And then that way we could start the live show from there. All right. Sounds good, everyone? Let me share my screen, okay? Irv Green says, if I use a conventional loan, do I have to pay for PMI?
That's an excellent question, Irv. We are actually going to talk about that later on today. So hang in there with us, and I'm going to delve into that a little bit more.
All right, Irv Green, we'll get to your questions in a bit, okay? I promise. Lisa already said that, so. Okay, there's my screen. Let's go over this data real quick so that way we can get on with the show. Okay, look at that pretty chart. All right, now inventory went down a slight from last week. New listings are also down 26%. Sold homes are down 46%. Ooh, that's a lot from last week. Pending homes are up 8% from last week. Now let's look at last month. Inventory is down 1.7%. New listings are down 26%. Sold homes are down 27%. Pending homes are up 15%. Now, I will say this. Towards this time of the year, this is pretty typical. All right. It is pretty typical. It's normally slow, but because of all the slow and low inventory that we've been having this year so far, it's just a lot lower. But around this time of the year, I always tell my clients it's the best time to negotiate on homes because normally sellers that do need to sell, they really need to sell. And builders, if they have inventory, they really want to sell those inventory because November is the month they like close out their books for the year. So that's a tip right there for all y'all listening. And now inventory comparing same month to last year's November, it is down 27%. New listings are down 26%. Sold homes are down 38%, and pending homes are up 3% from last year, same time. Okay, so see if you guys look, the numbers aren't that far off from last year. Now, year to date, comparing to last year, 27% lower inventory, 33% lower new listings, 28% lower sold homes, 23% lower in pending comparing to last year. Okay. Everything's lower. Everything's lower. Average price per square foot, it is down from last week by 1.2% and 5% down from last month. Year to date, well, actually, same month last year comparison, it is actually higher still by 4.5%. But year to date, it is down 3.8%. This is average price per square foot. And days on the market, 21 days on average versus last week, 23 days on average. So a little bit quicker by 2 days. Now, comparing to last month, it's faster by 4 days on average, 21 days versus 25 days. This is how long it takes for a home to go pending when it enters the market. Okay, so this is what whenever you see CDOM, it means continuous days on the market. That's what CDOM means. Okay, and without the C, it's just days on the market. That's an acronym right there. Hint, hint.
Mhm.
ABCs. Now, same time last month. Look at that. 21 days on average this year versus last year, same time was 41 days on average. Whew. And then year to date, last year was a lot faster, averaging out 21 days on average versus this year was 21 days on average. Okay. It's still pretty fast. Okay. Everybody wondering, it's still pretty fast. Even though rates are the way it is, even though price is the way it is, because inventory being the way it is low, everything's gonna be higher. Okay. And of course, that's why homes are still going quick because people are still buying and selling. If you're wondering, I put up a post the other day, and I said, if rates go down, what do you guys think it's gonna happen to the prices next year? And some people was like, good luck trying to get people to buy if prices go up. Realtors gonna go out of a job. And I was like, in every market, there's always a buyer, whether it's a home buyer or a investor, because it's a good deal. He could buy 5 homes instead of 1 home. There was always gonna be a buyer in every market. So if a realtor does their job, marketing themselves, talking to people, there's always gonna be enough business to go around. It's just who's gonna get the business is really the question. Because we also got a lot of agents that quit the industry, like a lot, like in the 5-figure range. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. But moving on. Average sold price and average active listing price. Okay, so from last week it is up 0.4%. It is down from last week. The price sold by 6.3%. Okay, interesting. Now from last month, comparing, it is down 34% on active listing price, and sold price is down 6.2%. All right, so it is down. Okay, 6%. That's a lot from last month. Now, last year, comparing same time, active prices are up 8%. Sold price is actually up by a slight. So there you go. Year to date, it is up 8.5% on average, and sold is down 2.3% on average. So, all right. That is interesting. Prices are finally going down, it looks like, if you're looking at year to date. 2%, y'all. Do you guys feel it? Do you guys feel like the prices are going down? Lisa?
It really depends on the area, right? But I haven't really seen it going down. I see it where the reason why it's going down is because the appraisal still hasn't caught up, right? Because there's so limited inventory that a lot of times people come in with a higher bid, but then when it doesn't appraise and they don't have the money to make up the difference, and the seller is like, okay, well, I have to either bite the bullet and just go with what the market trend is right now. It goes back to the appraisal, right, Chia? That's the only
Yeah.
time that I'm seeing it actually going lower.
Is when they overprice it and it gets underappraised.
I don't know if they overpriced it. I think they priced it sometimes pretty right, Chia, but because the neighborhood could be so desirable, but even if it's not as desirable, you guys already see the data that Chia's already given you where there's not a lot of inventory. And if there's not a lot of inventory, it's not going to appraise the way that it should because there's
Yeah,
not
there's
enough.
not enough data.
Right. I mean, we're pretty redundant with that, but I hope that you guys get it. It's because there's not enough inventory. So you can't comp
Yep.
something that's not there yet. Or if you do, you have to comp it from way far back and it doesn't justify. And the sad thing is, as soon as this one sells, and if that person was able to make up that difference, the next home that comes, that comp already gave that comparison.
Yeah,
Yep. You know
Ching
what?
says, yep. I feel it.
That is exactly what an appraiser told me the other day when I was at a property. He said, "Yeah, now he's got to go out a lot further to get his comps."
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that's what they do. If within a quarter mile radius of the property, there's not enough homes being sold, so there's not enough data, they always stretch it out another quarter mile. So now it's half a mile. And remember, when they go further and further out, it gets less accurate because a mile out, you could be in a totally different subdivision. You could be in a totally different area to where it's like between uh Pocket and Metaview, you know? So that's a
Mhm.
huge difference. So
Mhm.
Huge
like
difference.
so these appraisers got to be super careful when they do that, but then they mostly only do that when they have to. And even when a appraiser does that, that also still needs to be like quality controlled by like upper management too, from what I've been told. And if it
Mhm.
doesn't
Mhm.
work, they have to redo the appraisal again and resubmit comps. I've seen that happen before, you know. So yeah, it is interesting. I my conspiracy side though wants to say that sometimes the appraisers don't want the prices to go up too high, so they kind of are the gatekeepers of that, you know? So they make the prices go lower so that way the market slows down, you know? Because maybe
Mhm.
they're being told by the upper boss, and the upper boss is being hammered by the upper boss, saying, hey, look, we need everything to slow down. Come on now, man. The feds are trying to slow down inflation.
Mhm.
Anyways, you know, Chang, you know, he says that they feel it, and he's in Fresno. All right, months worth of inventory. Here we go. We are at 2.4 months worth of inventory right now. Compared to last month,
So
it is
what was the thing
1.7. What was the thing last week?
or 2 weeks
La-
ago, do you remember how we thought it was, like, a little bit off?
yeah. So
So now it's 2.4.
it's
Interesting.
kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say, but if
Yeah.
you were to, because the thing is, when you go based off of this right here, it doesn't show you the week to week. And because this is called months worth of inventory, not weeks worth of inventory, you know, it's kind of hard. So they only give you based off of this right here, you know.
Mm,
That's why I don't really use this, even though it says current month versus previous month. We're not in
yeah,
October no more, so obviously that's not the current month, you know. So you gotta go
yeah.
down to actually this, where it's a little bit more accurate. And so far in November, we have 2.4 months worth of inventory versus 1.7. Okay. That might seem like a lot, right? But remember, it's still very low. Okay. If you guys were here when we shared the data from '08 when the crash happened and all that, it was like 6 months worth, 7 months worth, you know? So for those of you waiting for a crash to happen, it's not gonna happen. Okay, we have too little inventory, and this is really one of the number one drivers on why prices are still not as low as a lot of people would want it to be, despite rates.
Right, right.
Mandy says, I want a ranch house with a pool and with the zoning to own livestock. What's a affordable area to search? I'm getting ready. You know, I always say if you want that kind of zoning, you're gonna have to go at least an hour to an hour and a half away from the city. Every time, whenever you do that, everything does get cheaper, especially with your criteria, Mandy. Okay. So that's like Amador, um, Slough House, maybe some parts of Wilton, and then Placer. Oh, yeah, you know. So I have a client right now that's actually looking in that area. So every week I've been driving an hour to 2 hours going up there, showing like one, two, three homes, you know, per trip. And it's homes up there are way more affordable, but you're in California. Fire insurance is through the roof. I'll give you an example. In the city, the same 1,500 square foot home, let's say on average, 3 bedroom, 2 bath in a decent area, might be like 450K, right? But insurance on that thing is probably like under $1,000 a year. All right, on average. If you go up there, it's basically 3-4x because you're including fire insurance on top of it. Home insurance is the same, but fire insurance is so expensive now, especially because a lot of insurance is kind of left to California. So they're outsourcing a lot of work now from other states to write policies here. And that just increases the cost. And because of everything that happened during the wildfires, that's what's going on right now. So if you go into areas like that, talk to your insurance rep to get a quote so that way you can budget everything together. Don't just look at the price point. Okay. This is where a lot of first time home buyers fail to do their budgeting. They only look at the price point and say, oh man, that home has 10 acres, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and it's like 200K cheaper than something here in Sacramento or Elk Grove. I'm going there. And then they go to escrow, they get a quote done by the insurance rep, and it's like freaking 4x. $4,000 or $5,000 a year for fire insurance. They're like, man, this is gonna break down my budget to like craziness now, So just
Yeah.
budget in advance if you go into those areas. My guy works in Lodi, so we keep that in mind. Wow, yes, I totally get it on the fire situation. Yep, there it is. So consider everything. Remember, when you're buying a home, it's not just the mortgage, it's the interest. It's not just the mortgage payment. It's your utilities. It's your food still. It's your upkeep maintenance. It's all that jazz. It's the insurance. So, yeah. All right, continuing on. This year versus last year, we have a little bit more inventory now compared to last year, same time, a little bit. Not enough to change the market. Okay, and then look at this. Year to date, no change. No change. 1.5 months worth of inventory on average for this year's a date and last year's. So you already see where the market's headed with this kind of data. Okay. So that is the market update, y'all. You know what I just realized? Of course, Chain's gonna speak my mind. He's gonna be like, show the screen. I totally forgot, bro. All right, that's what I was
Figures
talking
you were
about.
almost done, so I didn't mention it. So
Y'all didn't even say anything too. Y'all like, oh,
you
okay.
were almost done, so I figured,
No, we need to show them the chart so that way they know I'm not making it up. So here you go, Chain. Here you go, man. 2.4 months worth this year. Last year, same time, 2 months on average, but year to date is 1.5 month. Just you, Ching. I know, man. You got me. I got you too. Next time. My co-hosts is they don't got my back like you do, Ching. They just basically let me scoot up. Oh man. Okay, that is the market update. All right, now we can talk about the ABCs of the industry. Lisa, you want to take this on?
Absolutely. Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of terms, acronyms that's thrown out there, right, Chia? I mean, on the lending side alone, there's DPA, there's LTV, there is, DTI. What do those all mean? And I'd love to share you guys with my screen. And this is what it means to you guys as a homeowner, so that you know that you're working with strategists, real estate strategists, mortgage strategists, not just somebody that's just looking to do a quick sale and a quick transaction. And in that way, you know all the options that you guys have. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you my screen here. Oh, okay. Okay.
While you're doing that,
Give it a moment, because it seems like I have two screens because this one's bigger. It's taking a little bit.
all good. No worries. Let's
Okay.
talk about this tiny home being sold for 10K by Walmart and other companies. Earl Green, I have seen those. You know what's funny? So many like tough sheds and that type of company are making these tiny homes now because it's a trend. And I've seen a lot of homeowners buy those homes, but they're not using it as a tiny home. They're using it as ADUs.
Yeah.
Have you seen that too, Lisa?
I would. I would. My yard is
Yeah,
too
like
small, but I totally would. It's so
because it's
much
cheaper.
absolutely. And if I had enough space, I'd get a couple.
Yeah, man. So like a lot of these companies right now, like Walmart, Amazon, and Tough
Mhm.
Shed in them, they're making these tiny homes now. That's basically a glorified shed, right? And people are having those delivered to their backyard and getting an ADU permit for them.
Yep.
Instead of cause if you have a contractor go and build you an ADU from the ground up, it's gonna cost at least 6 figures minimum, right, Lisa? You just had
Oh
one
yeah.
done, right? And that was before everything was the way it is now with permits and all that, right? You still spend a pretty penny, right?
Oh yeah. It was a really pretty penny. It was about $100,000, you guys. So it was not cheap at
Yeah.
all.
Now, now it's probably getting closer to like 200K because so many people are doing it, and not a lot of companies or contractors know or are familiar with making ADUs because it's such a new concept. So yeah, these 10K homes, man, they're actually nice. They're basically kind of like um those what is it? Those cargo. Man, I'm having a brain fart now. It's those storages, those big old
Yeah, those
rectangular.
big cargo containers. Yeah,
Yeah, those
the cargo
containers.
containers.
Yeah,
Yep.
people
Yeah,
people get those. People get those and they deck it out to a tiny home too. I've seen that as well. And those are like $3,000 delivered. So, yeah. Yeah, shipping
Yep.
units. That's right. Yeah, shipping units. But yeah. Oh, okay. I see your chart now. Can you zoom in a little bit on your
Yes.
chart,
I'm gonna
Lisa?
zoom in a little bit. It's let me see here. Let me know if you guys can see this. Is it
Go a
visible
little
yet?
bit more.
Because if I zoom in too
No.
much, I will not be able to give you a comparison. Can you guys see it?
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, good. So earlier we mentioned a couple of things, okay, guys? So debt DTI. DTI is your debt to income ratio. Each loan has its criteria. So here, to make it easier for you guys, I do show for the CalHAFA down payment assistance program. DPA is down payment assistance. Okay, so this one is the most popular and the most available one for all of California right now. Okay. So with this, the debt to income ratio limitation, okay, and when somebody is doing the loan for you, when you're looking at this piece, you have to understand that each loan has its own criteria of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And it also is based on your credit score. So if your credit score is lower, then your debt to income ratio is actually lower. I'm just going to show you what the maximum that's, if you have a great situation and things like that. So in this debt to income ratio, what does it mean that it's the top portion and the bottom portion? What does that mean? What that means is on the top side, your complete mortgage. Okay, so if I scroll down here a little bit and you see the monthly payment, and I'll go over all of this in just a bit, guys. But if your monthly payment, okay, cannot exceed your monthly income by 50%. In this situation, it works. I put in $100 debt here so that you guys can also see not only that for conventional, your debt to income ratio cannot be more than 50%, but also your entire debt to income ratio cannot be more than 50%. That means your upcoming mortgage that you're going to get plus whatever debts that you have divided by your income cannot exceed that 50%. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
DTI for you. Okay. This is going to be really important to know because how do you, I wouldn't say manipulate the numbers, but how do you work and strategize with the numbers? Is putting less down, is paying off debt better for you, is buying a mortgage insurance up front. A lot of people don't know this too, Gia, where if your credit is pretty good, and I'm going to scroll down this a little bit later, you can actually buy off your mortgage insurance completely. even if you're not putting 20% down. Sometimes that might be a little bit more effective for you.
Does
Okay.
that apply with FHA too, or just conventional?
Only conventional. Only conventional. Okay. So those are the differences. Now, when you're putting a down payment, LTV, the next acronym, means loan to value. So I'm circling it right here for you. What does loan to value mean? That means if you're putting 3% down, the difference of the loan to the value of the property, because you're putting 3%, is 97%. Okay. Even though CalHFA allows you to basically have a second loan, these down payment assistance, guys, are not free money. You're going to have to pay that back when you refinance or when you sell the house. So this is an example that I'm using for you guys. This is straight from CalHFA website. The interest rate right now is 8.125. So those of you that want to use down payment assistance program, absolutely available to you. If you want to use down payment assistance and closing cost assistance, it's going to cost you on the interest rate. Okay. And usually with down payment assistance program, there is an upfront cost. And basically that closing cost is going to help cover for that portion for you. This is the amount that you would come in with if you're purchasing a house for 460. Just a sidebar, guys, for this income to happen, that's somebody, a household making $50 an hour. That's about $104,000 annually. Okay, so if you and yourself or you and another person is making that much, this is the qualification for that. Okay. All right. Any questions so far, guys? We're
Nope.
good.
But
Great.
I
Yeah.
think they do have. Did you already go over the Irv Green's question right here? If I
Not
use a
yet.
conventional,
Not yet. So we're going to get to there. We're going to get to there.
got
So
it.
typically, okay, if you're putting less than 20% down, yes, there is mortgage insurance. So how would you get rid of that, right? Okay. If I
Yeah,
read that right, let me go back to the question here.
right
Yes, you
there.
do have to pay for PMI. You do have to pay for that. And when you do on a monthly basis, you can either do it on a monthly basis or you can do it up front. And I'll get to that in just a little bit. I'm just going to go quick synopsis of what all these loans mean. Okay. So typically with conventional loans, if your credit score is good, your debt to income ratio allotment is 50%. So you'll see this across the board. I did it with 3, 5, 10, 15, all the way to 20%. Okay. And VA does not have the monthly PMI.
Right.
So therefore, from somebody that's doing a conventional 3% down versus a VA 0% down, because there is no mortgage insurance, now the monthly payment, okay, look at that. They're able to qualify for
Mm-hmm.
higher, but their monthly payment is lower, which makes their debt to income ratio lower. So let's try this. If I did 550, look at that. It
Yeah,
jumps to that, so then they don't qualify for that amount.
for
Okay,
the
I'm gonna
amount.
go put it back. Okay, so if we're going to go to talk about, okay, well, how do I pay for the mortgage insurance up front? You absolutely can. Mortgage insurance, conventional loans rewards people for having good credit, which means the better your credit is, the lower your interest rate is, but also the lower your mortgage insurance is. So if your credit is not there, it's always better to go FHA because it will cost you less and you probably would have more buying power. Now, the difference between conventional and FHA, your mortgage cannot be higher than 47%. Okay. Your mortgage, I'm going to say that again, cannot be higher than 47% of your income. However, let's just say, for instance, you have car payments and things like that, you can't pay it off. That's okay. FHA allows you, as a total, you can have your new mortgage and whatever debts that you have all the way up to 57%. Okay. So when you're in that situation, you absolutely can do this. You cannot pay for mortgage insurance upfront on an FHA loan, though. Okay. You can only do it on a conventional. So let's talk about that and address Irv Green's question. So if you're downing less than 3%, the more you put down, the less your mortgage insurance is going to be. Okay. So you can see here, if your mortgage insurance is less, that allows you to have more buying power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to buy it down, okay, This is how much it costs for somebody with a 780 credit score buying a home for 500,000. This is how much it's going to cost up front. And then you never have to worry about this again. So why would somebody want to do that? So check this out. If somebody did that, do you see how their debt to income ratio was so much lower? From now,
Yeah.
you're paying 3%, but then you can, let's see if we can go to 550 now. Maybe not
Oh, yes.
quite there. So from 525, you may possibly go to 535.
I think the
Easier.
challenge that's most people are also going through too is, you know how you're changing that purchase price and it's changing the debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of buyers are facing the challenge of time, right? Because what we've been seeing with the rates every day has been going up, going down, and like you can't really lock in your rate until you get into contract and submit an offer. So by that time, depending on how long it took you from getting pre-approved or getting a budget like this, so when the rates go up higher than originally than what Lisa is putting on here, because what, how much are you putting it at right now? The rate you're
Okay.
putting at 7.125, right? If that shoots up a point by 8.1, let's say next week, then it changes everything now too. So
Look, you see how this part right here is already close,
yep,
right? Even if I change
yep,
it by 7.25, if you're not able to pay off this debt, then you're going to have to either buy down the interest rate or something
yeah,
else has to happen. So, Chia, what have we been saying to our people? Even if you can go today, okay, to
at
to
500K.
500,000 with 3% down,
Don't.
give yourself $50,000 of wiggle room, guys, because if
Yeah.
you go down to 450, okay, not only do you
Mhm.
have some negotiation room, let's just say, for instance, it goes back up to that silly 8% again. You
You're
still
still
have
within DTI.
correct,
Exactly.
correct, correct. And that's the reason why I created this chart so that you can visibly see what you, not what I say or what the next lender or the online lender tells you. You know, the math is right there,
Right.
right? The math
Yes.
is right there. So if we're looking at, like, say for instance, if you're looking to put 3% down and everything like that, and you're single upfront mortgage insurance so that you won't have that monthly payment anymore, it might be worth it, because this is how much your monthly cost is for mortgage insurance. This is how much the annual cost is. So if I divide this into this, it takes about 2.67 years to recoup that cost, and you never have to worry about that again in the event that refinancing doesn't make sense. Now, I've had this question asked as well recently, where I was like, well, Lisa, why wouldn't refinancing make sense? Because I hear so many lenders out there that was like, hey, don't worry about that now, date the rate, marry the house. Okay, you're setting yourself up for failure, for financial failure, if you don't consider the fact that, what if the interest rate goes to 10%? Why the heck would you refinance at that time? Or what happens if the interest rate is 4%, but the home prices depreciate and you can't refinance, even
Mm.
though the interest rate is higher? Unless you have enough money to put in 20% equity, it doesn't make financial sense, or you won't even qualify, or your house won't qualify. It's not you that doesn't qualify, but the property doesn't qualify to
Does
refinance.
every bank only allow you to refinance if there's 20% equity? Does it have to be 20% for in order for you to be able to refi?
It depends on the timing, Chia, because we used to be able to, as long as you have at least 5% of equity in there, okay, and that's with cushioning the closing costs and everything like that. You're okay. You're okay if it makes financial sense, but most of the time it may not make financial sense because you're not getting rid of mortgage insurance unless the rate is really super low, like they were during COVID, and you still have
Mhm.
mortgage insurance. And keep in mind, with a conventional loan too, if you had the loan for 2 years and your house appreciated on its own organically, okay,
Mhm.
by 20%, you can always call into your servicing lender and
Right.
ask for it to be removed without having to refinance. So that's the beauty of conventional loans. Okay.
Mhm.
FHA are great loans too, guys. They're great loans too. There's no good or bad. It's just, okay, what fits your financial situation? And a
Right.
lot of times, if you're looking at long term, but short term, you're in a pickle. Well, choose what's best for you at this time, but
Right.
understand that if you're in a pickle, that, hey, at least choose the house that is affordable for you, that's not going to cause you stress because you're not house poor, And then when you do get an opportunity, if the market is right for you to refinance, do it. But if the market's not right, okay, you're covered because you cushioned for that.
Correct. Chang says, does DPA only apply to first time home buyers? DPA, again, people, is down payment assistance.
That is correct. And yes, it does only apply for first time buyers. And the definition of first time buyer in this down payment assistance, not all down payment assistance, okay, guys? But for the CalHFA down payment assistance, as long as you haven't owned a home, you weren't on title to your parents' home or any other family member or friend or whatnot for the last 3 years, you are able to qualify for that. Now, let's just
Right.
say, for instance, okay, you're a first time buyer, but you don't qualify income wise because your debt to income ratio is too high and you have your parent come in. But if your parent is not a first time buyer, then you won't qualify for that program. All borrowers on the loan need to be first time buyers.
There you go, Chang. Evergreen
Yep.
says, so if I have to pay for PMI using a conventional loan, what is the benefit as a first time home buyer to use conventional loans to FHA? We kind of shared a little bit about that already,
Yeah.
but
Do we
Lisa,
answer your
you could
question
give the
already?
scoop again. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. We kind of spoke a little bit about that, the benefits of FHA versus conventional, but you could share it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So FHA, typically the interest rate is lower. Okay, so it makes it a little bit more attractive. In this situation, if you're putting 3% down, do you see how the mortgage insurance is higher on conventional versus FHA? But look, if you're able to put 5% down, the mortgage insurance is actually less. So you got to take a look at all of your options to see which one is best for you, not best overall, right? Best for you. And if you say, okay, let's say, for instance, if the market continues to grow like this, right? If the market continues to grow like this, you may not have to refinance in order to get rid of this completely. Okay. And look at that. Okay. If that's the case, if you're comparing apples to apples, if you're getting rid of mortgage insurance, but the interest rate is higher and your monthly payment is, a little bit less, not that much of a difference, you may want to stick with the FHA. It was like, okay, well, I'm going to stick with FHA regardless because it seems to have a better rate at this time. And it really doesn't make a difference when my mortgage insurance is done.
I
Right.
I would also say too, Evergreen, the question regarding whether to use conventional FHA is, why not put both of them as an arsenal in the back burner? Because what if you go look at a home and in your favor, FHA makes more sense. But what if you go buy a home and it doesn't qualify for FHA because of the condition and it only could go conventional? At least now you know that you could qualify for both and utilize any of the two to your advantage. That's going to work out for your scenario. So don't just go all in on one and forget the other, because they both have their pros and cons, and it doesn't matter what that really is. It matters more about what's going to suit your situation at that time when you're planning on making that purchase. Okay, so don't eliminate FHA because conventional is better, because after 2 years, when there's enough appreciation and enough equity, you could call your lender and it gets rid of PMI. Like, what if
Absolutely.
your payment is still so much more higher versus if you would have stuck with FHA? So consult all your
Absolutely.
options and then don't just leave one out. That's what I would say.
And remember, guys, on the debt to income ratio, FHA is a lot more forgiving when it comes to interest rate and it comes to mortgage insurance. Okay, everybody gets the same. Whatever your credit score is, as long as it's more than 640, it's pretty much the same across the board. Whereas conventional does uh, give you, a better interest rate when you have it does reward you for a better credit score. Okay, where FHA doesn't do that. So there's a good and the bad on that. And that's a thing too. Let's just say, for instance, okay, let's say, for instance, you have a car note and it's $300. Okay, look at that. You still qualify for FHA under this amount, but look at that. Now you don't qualify for these conventionals. And kind of lower this purchase price in order for you to qualify for conventional. Right? So if you're in
Yeah.
that situation and your car is like $50,000 and you're like, well, I only have $50,000. So do I pay off my car or do I get the house? Well, why not have both? Why not have both? And, you can always refinance into a conventional later on. You're not stuck with that loan.
Yep. It's funny. Pal says, yep. My neighbor learned the hard way with FHA when it came time to refinance his home. LOL. He finally changed to conventional after the refinance. I think I know who you're talking about, pal. But like again, there's nothing wrong with FHA or conventional. It's just sometimes I think people forget that shoot conventional after there's so much appreciation in the equity that they can knock off the PMI. But because they went in and bought the home with FHA, they just assume that FHA also applies the same rules, and it doesn't. But maybe during that time, Chu, it made more sense for him to utilize FHA to buy his house because the payments was more was way better. The rates was more favorable, like even right now. FHA is the only program that's in the six. Conventional is in the sevens. And for some
Correct.
people that matters more. So
And Cheng mentioned that he's going to ask for seller credits for the PMI. Absolutely, absolutely. And a
now
lot.
is the time, Shane, to ask for credit, man. It's fall to winter transition. So it's the slowest season of the year.
Right. And I've seen this happen before too, where sometimes lenders forget because, many lenders don't even
Mhm.
know that they can buy it up front and everything. Okay. To help not only just your debt to income ratio, but also, okay, you can ask for closing cost credit. You can ask for more. And there are times where if your agent's able to negotiate even 6%, that's a lot. You may not even need that much, but we're going to maximize it as much as possible. We're going to get you the PMI off. We're gonna, buy down the interest rates and everything else that we can think of to maximize that.
Yep. Maximize your resources, everybody. Like that's why I always emphasize when you are planning on working with an expert, make sure they have a heart of a teacher to explain these little details with you, because some people might not feel comfortable explaining these things because it's just too tedious for them. And
Mhm.
you could kind of tell when you start asking these people around, lenders or even agents, and they start going, um go talk to this person, they don't really want to answer. You can kind of tell that they don't really want to explain it, or maybe they don't understand it. And I always like to say, if I don't understand it, I'll tell you straight up. I'll go and find the answer, and then I'll come back and give you the answer later, or I'll at least point you in the direction to where I know somebody that will be able to answer your question. Because man, buying a home is not cheap. So you want to know all your resources and your options before you actually pull the trigger, because it's not like, again, you buy the home, it's recorded now, and then the next day you feel kind of, like you don't like it no more, you want to turn it back to the store, get your refund back. You still got your receipts, your title HUDs and all that. I don't know if that's considered receipts, but you can't really go back and return it anymore. So definitely consult and exhaust all of your resources, so that way for sure you're getting the best bang for your buck, especially right now in this economy, everything being the way it is. Chain
Absolutely,
says,
absolutely. And here's the thing, guys. The truth of the matter is,
go ahead, Lisa.
okay, sorry. So the thing is, the banking system is very antiquated. It's very dated. So we don't have these charts. I created this chart because we don't have that. So anytime they plug in a scenario, we have to do it one by one, write it down somewhere, put it in somewhere for you, and then send that chart. So it takes, a little bit longer time to do this. I created this so that I can show it to you within less than 15 minutes, right? And I say, okay, these are
Yeah.
basically your choices. Let's narrow it down to see which one makes most financial sense for you. And legally, okay, as a mortgage loan officer, we're supposed to give you at least 3 options, okay, so that you can make a sound decision for yourself. So if you're going and you're just getting a yes, ma'am type of advisor, I won't even consider that an advisor. I would just say, okay, what do you want? Okay, I want to get a house. Okay, this is the loan. They're going to give you the one that if you're rate conscious, they're going to give you the FHA one. So you're going to not realize that there's a comparison between FHA, right? Or if you have somebody that is conscious about like, hey, I want to maximize my purchasing power. Okay, let's maximize your purchasing power by lowering your interest rate, by building in the buy down. Okay. And a lot of times when you're comparing just the rate portion, it's like, oh, this person is giving me such a much better deal. Do you know how much they charge you to have that better deal? Did you know that they already put all these
Mhm.
fees in there and they didn't tell you? And they're only telling you, it's like, okay, this is how much your down payment is. And if you think that you're only having to put that down payment down and you did not account for the closing costs, you might find yourself in a pickle when you've already paid for the appraisal and you've already paid for the inspection, right? How many times we've heard that horror story, right, Tia?
Yep. No, it happens all the time.
Mhm.
Chang did had a question. He said, "What's the max seller credit I could get with a conventional loan?" Lisa, it depends, right?
For, yeah, give me just a moment. I'm actually going to pull up a chart for you guys, okay?
Got it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, while you're doing that, True, and I was lucky. We got rid of our PMI in only 8 months after we purchased our home. Our house value jumped 30%. Yeah, man. Y'all probably got it during COVID time. That time everybody's home value went up the roof. Everybody refied. A lot of lenders I knew were only focusing on refi business. And then when the refi business dried out, they went out of business because they didn't build any relationship with the people. They forgot about the bread and butter, which is the clients. And in order for them to even refinance with you is because they bought a home first. And if you don't have that kind of relationship with people and you're only focusing on the money because everybody was doing refis because it was easy money, a lot of those lenders aren't even in the industry anymore. Sad to say. Some lenders that I knew that I had a good relationship with, man, they like straight up ghosted me during that time because they were so busy doing refis and they forgot all about my peoples. Like you guys. They forgot all about you guys. Whenever I sent you guys to them and they're like ghosting you. So it's just sad, but that's why you gotta really, really, really find somebody again that has a heart of a teacher to explain these things with you, to kind of go over all these things with you so that way you guys understand. You got your chart up yet, Lisa? Oh, Lisa's zoning out. No, it's a signal, huh, Charles?
I think so.
Oh no,
Sorry,
she's
There
guys.
she
back.
is.
I full of 10 gamers outside, and I think they're using up
Is
my
that
internet right
what's
now.
going on? Yeah, I heard somebody yell out Roblox or something. I'm just
I know. I told them, I was like, you guys gotta chill out, man. You guys gotta chill out. I got a bunch of 22-year-olds playing Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
Using up all my
Okay.
bandwidth.
All right, let me go ahead. Chia, can you see my screen?
okay.
Okay,
I see it.
awesome.
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys. So for conventional primary and secondary homes, okay, if you're putting less than 10% down payment, the maximum seller contribution is 3%. 10 to 25%, you can get up to 6%. More than 25%, you can go all the way up to 9%. But realistically, 3% is pretty generous, you guys. Okay,
It
3%
is.
is if it's 500,000, okay, then you get $15,000. So it's not terrible.
You might not even be able to utilize all of that, depending on how your
Correct.
agent wrote the contract up.
Correct. But see, here's the thing. That's where it's so important for you guys to know, your advisor and say, hey, I heard that since I have $5,000 left, can I utilize some of that to pay off my PMI? Okay.
Mhm.
That's a lot of times, lenders leave that on the table, unfortunately, and they
Yeah.
forget about it. Or you can
Not
buy
not
down the
not
even more.
not even that, but then like sometimes, like for example, right? If my client was getting like let's say $15,000 credit, but they can only use 10 because everything else still needs to show that they got skin in the game, which is a down payment, right? Then that remaining 5,000, instead of leaving it on the table, let's just reduce the price. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
work out certain scenarios with the other party so that way you can maximize that seller credit. Don't leave anything on the table. That's free money. The seller was already willing to part ways with that amount. Take advantage of that amount.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. The worst case scenario, just lower the purchase price, but lowering the purchase price,
Changes
it's
everything.
right. It helps, but because it's a 30-year loan, typically when you first start out as a first-time home buyer to make your monthly payment lower, it doesn't make as huge of a difference.
Yep.
Okay.
Source says, I'd rather serve in the military and get zero down. But
Absolutely.
remember, that zero down is gonna come with a lot of other mental challenges too. Okay, so
That's
I know a lot of military people, and most of them, I mean, I love them, but most of them they do still come back with something. So that
absolutely.
there's a reason why they get 0% down. Remember that.
Yeah,
There's a
and
price for everything.
they absolutely earned it, and then some.
Yeah, they
And
earned it.
the sad truth is there's so many vets that don't utilize this loan at all because they've had it so much with the government. They have this connotation so negatively that they don't want to deal anything, even if it's a benefit to them, and it is quite
Mhm.
sad.
So okay, you guys just go cosign for me. I think you're buying an investment property anyways, Chang. I don't think they could VAs work with investment properties. It has to be
It is if it's a
primary.
multi-unit.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
right. That's right.
You can
Yeah,
absolutely
you can
use
rent one
it.
of those units out from SOAR.
Right. Remember, if you're co-signing and if you're a vet, if we haven't audience members that are out there, you can only co-sign with your spouse. And if you want to co-sign with a family member, you have to put at least 10% down. So it's not zero anymore. But the cool thing is you don't have that monthly PMI. So that's still workable.
Yeah. Evergreen says, is it true that sometimes new builds promise a huge credit but end up not giving it to you because they
Yes.
are limited to what they can give? Yes.
Yes.
That's why
Oh my
That's why
gosh.
there is an asterisk. That's why whenever you go
Yes.
and talk to a new build, there's an asterisk on that marketing piece that you saw. It says up to X amount. That up to could be anything now. Even though they say up to 1 million, the maximum you can only get Herb Green is 10K. So
So
you
now,
have
yeah,
yes.
Irving, if you are going to buy a house, okay, now you know the strategy, right? And they say, oh, well, we give you $30,000, but we technically only need 15. It's like, well, I want to pay down my PMI. I want to buy down the interest rate. I want to do all of that because they're not always going to tell you right off
Nope.
the bat because they want to keep
They
that in
don't
their
want to
pocket.
give it to you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Now
so
you
now
know.
you know. Now you know if you're gonna go and get a new build, negotiate all of it. Since they're giving it to you anyways, like just keep adding it onto your closing costs because since your closing cost is only a certain amount, put the PMI in there, put all of that in there, like what Lisa was saying. Utilize all of it.
Yep.
And then
So it says they will treat it.
make sure you get an inspection done.
Oh yeah, make sure you call Charles for an inspection on a new build. Just because it's new, don't mean it's perfect. You guys saw my video I uploaded a couple of days ago. Crazy stuff, right, Lisa? I think you weren't there for that week,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
I don't think so.
that's some
I don't
crazy
think so.
stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Source says they would treat us good, especially with Ukraine Russia war going on and Israel versus Hamas. They need us desperately right now. The VAs. Don't get me started on that topic, so they're talking about drafting random people nowadays. So I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah. Since we have audience mentors from Fresno, guys, a down payment assistance program is great in your area because of your price point. Sacramento is still great as well, but Fresno, absolutely. So I would say take a look at those numbers first and see if that works for you. Because again, you can always refinance it out. You do have to pay back the loan that they helped you with the down payment assistance. But she and I, we've done plenty of those together and it's worked very well. Most of our down payment assistance people from a few years back have already refinanced out and they're totally in a really good position.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for reals. Shane, you're so stupid, bro. We family, we Mong Lee. He's talking about the co-signing for Soli to buy him a house. We're using the VA. Because you know how Hmong people, the last name, just because they are Lee, they consider your cousin, far away cousin.
I can vouch for that. Chia, every time Chia sends me somebody, guys, I swear at least 50%. I was like, this is my cousin. This is my family. This is everybody's related to Chia.
Hmong people, man. I can't pronounce your name, so I'm not even gonna try. Sorry. How different is real estate from state to state? Good
Ooh,
question. It's really just that. It's just different, because the market's different. But rates wise, I don't think it changes. It's nationwide. It's the same.
correct. It's
Rates wise,
nationwide,
it's the
so
same, but it's just gonna be area and economy wise. Are you gonna be investing in the good area to where it's gonna be booming for the next 10+ years that you're planning on investing there? So things like that. Or unless you're moving there, then that's also different, right? You might be following a job, so it might be different because of that too. So
yeah.
yeah, it's just state to state, depending on how the economics doing right there. What's up, Eva? How's it going? Oh, Charles, this for you. Eva says, how much are those inspections on new builds?
Basically the same price as a standard home. It's a full inspection, so it's the same price.
Same price, Eva. Same price. So it's
Ooh,
between. So I would say on average, like up to a 2,000 square foot home, I think. It's about $4,500, right?
Yeah, anywhere between 400 and 500. Yeah,
It's about there.
yeah.
That's pretty typical. I will say this, Eva. Don't just go with the cheapest home inspector because again, anybody could become a home inspector without a license. So the dude that charged $10 for the inspection and they're saying they're doing everything from A to Z, they might have decided to become a home inspector last night because they saw this video. They got inspired
You
by
said
Charles.
10
They like
bucks.
so just because they're cheap don't mean that they're gonna do a good job. Anybody could become a home inspector. I could even call you and be like, hey man, I decided to become a home inspector today. Hire me for the job. We've known each other for years. Like find somebody that's gonna be trustworthy. And Charles, he's been doing it for a minute now. So
That is funny.
how you like that, Charles?
Yeah.
How come
Uh,
some new builds won't let you walk in with the real estate agent after you have already walked in
ooh,
by yourself? Yeah, new builds hate agents that come in with their clients after the clients already went in. So this is kind of one thing I tell all my clients is if you already know you plan on using an agent to help you, then when you go in, at least have your agent go first or call in, video chat in, text in, do something in first. Don't just go in and register with the new bill first because they are super anal about that. You know why? They don't want to pay the commission. And first of all and foremost, they don't want you to get representation. They already offer their
yes,
own in-house agent so that you could just go through them. But again, that agent is an inside rep already. So you're going to want your own representation. So that's why they do that. They really don't want you to go in with your agent because of that. They want to be able to represent you so that way they get everything. They're controlling all sides of the transaction. So
yep,
that's why.
and and that representation also comes with suggestions like making sure that you have the right lender, making sure that you get a home inspection, making sure that you're doing all these things. And they don't want you to do any of that. They want you to just
Well,
go do everything
they
through them.
they make it so hard. New builds make it so hard to even get a home inspection. That home inspector needs to be certified, right, Charles? Through
Hmm.
their like
Insured,
corporate
certified,
office.
everything. Bonded,
right,
all of that. Which any
Yeah,
good
and
home
so
inspector should be anyway. But
right. And not only
yeah.
that, they don't want you to have your own agent. They don't want you to have your own lender. They want every piece of the pie going back to them. That's a business model,
yep,
which is not a
Mhm.
terrible thing. They're in the business to make money, right? Regardless of it being at your expense or not. But now that you know and everything like that, you can absolutely combat that. And like Chia said, make sure you have representation because it doesn't cost you to have representation. It costs them to have
Mhm. Yep.
representation, right?
So
Yeah,
yeah, that's why Irv Green.
yeah.
We went out to Elliott and they now take co-ops. I think they did it before. They have 22 homes on the lot that are moving ready. No one is buying because Elliott's expensive, Eva. It's very expensive. Charles, you're gonna like this one, man. Chang said he decided to become a home inspector now.
Well,
50
I
bucks.
mean,
Eva,
50 bucks.
50
Charles, aren't
bucks.
you gonna
50
build?
bucks home inspection special.
You're gonna build a team.
Yeah.
We are looking to get a new build, so get ready, chat. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. Just call me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go over our last topic today. We're just having too much fun with you guys. You guys are awesome. Charles want to talk about dry events with y'all. I know a lot of you guys do your laundry, even though you guys don't like doing laundry. But imagine maintaining your laundry now. you know, you ready, Charles? You want to show those pictures for everyone?
I mean, seriously, how many times do I talk about deferred maintenance and all that, right? Everything in your
Yeah.
home needs to be maintenance. And this is definitely not one of the things that's outside of that. No, this is actually a picture of somebody's dryer vent that somebody came in and actually cleaned. Now they have these really nice they have these really nice tools. I actually did this one right here. This one actually is you can see there isn't a whole lot. This one wasn't bad, right? And I'd say this was probably about 20 feet. There was about 10 feet up and then 10 feet out on a horizontal going out to the sidewall. Most newer homes nowadays, you're talking about 20 or 30 feet. And this is all the way from the base of the floor where the dryer is all the way up to the roof. That's where most of these dryer vents are actually vented to nowadays. So you got to think about this. I mean, they have this tool at Home Depot. You can literally hook this thing up to a drill, do this as a homeowner yourself. But again, it's very important to do this maintenance. The reason why you want to do this maintenance is because if you have too much of a buildup of lint in your vent system, you can start to have issues with fires, right?
Issues
Not only
with
that, it's
what?
going to cause your fires. This stuff catches fire.
Right,
This
yeah.
lint, and once it gets super dry, right?
Because it's
Not only
hot.
that, even if it's not actually even the beginning stages of that obviously are that, but the other thing about it too is it's going to make your dryer work harder and it's going to make it take longer for the clothes to dry, which means you're going to be paying a lot more in energy cost too. But the biggest thing obviously as far as this is the fire
Yeah.
aspect of it. So another thing too is people that when they install their dryers against the wall, or or even if you have a handyman do it, or even the installer that came to install it, look behind them and find out what they did. This is absolutely a horrible way to put in a dryer vent. Don't push it all the way up against the wall like that. They have so many different options to get around this so that you have full airflow. This is pretty much completely blocking off the airflow coming from the back of the dryer. I mean, that's insane. You know what I mean? Same thing with this same situation. This was the electrical plug that's there. So
Oh
here's the
my
thing:
Lord.
just because you have that behind your dryer doesn't mean that you have to leave it that way, right? Do something, make modifications so that way you have good airflow, and then you also have the ease of access to clean it, right? This is another one that was kind of beat up after somebody took it out. I mean, this thing is just trashed and thrashed.
You know
One of the
what's kind of
things that's go ahead, Lisa.
sorry. And you know what's kind of crazy? Because the incident that I talked to you guys about the last time. So the fire department did come just to check it out, just to do everything, because the inspector was just like, "This is so bad, right? This is so bad," and everything like that. And so when the fire department came out, they actually did check my dryer vent too, and they did tell me it's the #1 reason for fire hazards in homes. So it's crazy because now with the changes in home insurance, I wonder when they're going to say, "Hey, when's the last time you checked out your dryer vent," or something like that. Make that a condition for you guys to have home insurance, because we have so many claims in California. That is the reason why they're pulling out. So this makes sense.
Oh man.
I think the next thing will be not only that. So, right, we already know that they're requiring the water shutoff devices for homes that are 30 years. And you know what? I spoke to an insurance agent the other day, Lisa, and she confirmed exactly what you said. She just mentioned the exact same thing. So any homes that are built, 30 years or older that haven't had a repipe, they have to have this water monitoring device, right? So the next thing is, like you said, have you had we need to have a certified chimney suite that's cleans your chimney if your house is this old. We need to have somebody come in and clean your fireplace your entire fireplace, also your hood vent for your kitchen area, right? The
Yeah.
difference is this: you have lint that builds up, but in the kitchen, then you have the grease and all of that builds up inside these ducts, right? So
Yep.
it's the next thing I feel like is that they're going to start requiring all these things in order to buy a home right here in this state, because it's so ridiculous. But they have a lot of options to get around this. For example, this is pretty much what they do in most newer homes. They install this kind of box in the wall. So basically,
Yeah,
a lot of the older
I
homes, they
like
just
those.
they just have a hole sticking out of the wall, and then you have to kind of finagle your duct around and try to fit it in there. Most newer homes, pretty much anything built, definitely in the 2000s and up, they have something like this. And this actually allows you to have that duct recessed in the wall, so that when you hook your dryer up to it, you're not cutting off that air supply. So I mean, it's definitely a good thing to do. Yeah, that was another one here. Let me show that one. That was another one where somebody just had that thing crushed against the wall.
I
Yeah,
swear,
that's crazy
you
right
show us
there.
these things of all the holes that we overlook, because it's, again, my said it really greatly, that it's out of sight, out of mind. When you have all these holes, I feel like I'm looking at a colonoscopy for your house.
Yeah, no, seriously. I think this is
Don't
this is
don't
one of
a
the
lot
ones
of
that's
dryers right now, Charles? Don't a lot of dryers right now to where when they have restricted backflow like that from the ducts, like these photos, they turn off? Because I
they
know
warn you.
my
Yeah, so
dryer.
it comes up with an error. Yeah, it comes up with an error.
Yeah, my dryer has that to where when there's no flow, it doesn't turn on, it doesn't heat up at all, it turns off, and there's an error.
Hmm.
You gotta look it up, and then you check your air
Yep.
dryer. Sure enough, it looks like this pretty picture right here.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's good,
So
because that's what a lot of newer dryers are doing. But what if you just don't have something like that? You have a basic dryer.
Yep,
Those are more expensive dryers, right? What
it
if you have
is.
something that's older that still works and you're not really, thinking about replacing it? This is the
Don't
kind
worry
of thing.
about
If
it.
you
You.
haven't done this in if you haven't done this in 5 years, and especially if you have dogs, because if you have dogs, a lot of hair, cats, same thing, and you're
Mm,
washing the blankets and stuff, you wash a lot of big blankets too, you're going to get even more. You ever pull out, when you wash towels or a big blanket, and you pull out your lint trap and it's just covered in lint? Not all of
yeah,
that stuff got trapped on that lint filter. You
yeah.
got to think about this. If you haven't done this in 5 years, you are way overdue for a dryer duct cleaning. Way overdue. This is probably
Um,
what it looks like.
okay, Charles, do you do dryer duct cleaning?
Yeah, I use this nifty little tool right here.
Okay,
This this
I
this one right
swear.
here. I just I just keep
You
telling you.
just come over
But
for
no,
dinner, or come over early so they can just
hey,
take care of all this stuff for me.
we were just talking about that.
Yep.
I'm gonna check
I
out
didn't even I
your
didn't
water
even know
heater
that
and your
Charles does
dryer.
this too.
I asked, okay? I
I
asked.
did
So,
too. I did too. I was like, Charles, you do this, and he was like, yeah.
No,
guy,
but
I
seriously,
seriously.
it is such a big deal. And like I said, this was a light one. This was a light one. This wasn't that bad. But I have done several before where there's just, like, again, it's just a big pile on the ground, and all of that stuff is in there, and it's just a potential fire, and it's very concerning. You cannot put off this maintenance. This maintenance, especially things like this. This is a big deal. You can't do that. You have to make sure you're following up on all of these different things. It's very important.
I think
So you
Ugly
said
has a
5 years,
question
right,
for you.
Charles? Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
for
said if
holidays
you
and
I said
everything.
if you haven't done it in 5 years, you're way overdue. I think that you should get this done every 2 years, especially if you have a big family and you're constantly washing clothes, or if you're, like I said, if you have pets, or if you have, a lot of blankets and things like that you wash. You're going to get a lot more lint buildup when you have that kind of stuff that you're washing. So it's important to do. It's absolutely important.
I agree.
Charles, the holidays are coming up, and some of us are very practical. Okay, so can you provide gift certificates that our husbands can buy and do this? Since the honeydew list keeps getting longer
Uh,
and longer and longer. So yeah, can you just hook the husbands up?
so here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. The thing about this is most home maintenance, isn't actually that difficult. And I mean, they sell a lot of these things in the home improvement stores. This tool, I think it's about $17. And if you have a drill, you literally just attach this thing to your drill, and you see it's in segments. You just screw on another segment, you push it in the wall, screw on another segment, and just keep pushing it up the wall. And you just get a vacuum, and you vacuum all that stuff up when you're done. It's really not that difficult. But all of this kind of stuff, even homeowners can easily do these things. It's not something that you have to hire somebody to do. If you just really don't want to do it, or if you feel it, it's a little bit out of your realm, that's cool. But just do it though.
It's
Don't
not
don't put
even
it off.
that. Everybody's just so busy, so like we would
Yeah,
just rather have somebody like you come and do it, and we'll just pay you for a service, and for your time, and then
Absolutely.
that way we can still continue doing what we're doing.
I'll tell you
But
what though. Every time I do this though, it's really funny because I find it to be like a thing. Well, how much am I going to pull out of the dryer man today? Like how
am I
bad
gonna
is
see
this
a
really going to
dollar in
be?
there?
Yeah, and
That's
then and
funny.
then when I get the
Ew.
clients to come in, they're just like, "Oh my god, that was in my dryer!" So no, it's crazy.
So
So
basically,
Evergreen has a
the lender
question for
did
you.
this.
This is your question right here from Evergreen. I'm sorry if you guys already went over this, but what are the types of things that an inspector looks for?
Oh gosh,
Ooh,
that is a that is a
nice.
that is a that's a question for a whole episode right
We're
there.
gonna be here for
I mean,
another hour, so
yeah, but you know what though? We actually have a video, on Chia's
we
page that
did
definitely
we
we had
did went
another
over
discussion
this,
about this.
Evergreen. We did
Yeah,
went over
definitely.
this. So just go through my video archives on the YouTube channel, and just go watch it because Charles basically went over everything that he does. So yeah, it's gonna take another time. So I'm sorry, everything. But speaking of time, we're getting carried away. We're taking a lot of your evening away. I know Lisa has to go spend time and play games with her kids because they're there, they're waiting for her. She's a shot caller at the house, so they're waiting for her to get off the live stream. Charles got to go too, and I got a 2-year-old that's banging on my door and all that. So we're gonna just close it up here. I had fun tonight. Thanks again for all the questions, comments. Love it when you guys are engaging with us. It makes us feel like, man, it's not just our live stream, like what Erwin said earlier. This is his live stream as well. And I just love that. But yeah, that is all for today. We will see you guys next time. Okay. If you guys have any other questions for us, other contents you guys want us to put out or make a topic on, just shoot them in the comment section below. You guys can find us on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. All right, Chichi fams. That's it. Peace out.
Bye, guys.